Please state your first and last name, where you were born, and how old you are.
My name is Angela Murchison. I was born in Sanford, North Carolina, and I am 55 years old.
And to start, we're going to ask some questions about your childhood.
Okay.
How was your childhood different than that of children today?
Well, we did a lot of playing outside as children. Of course, we did not have technology like the children do now. And we played outside a lot. Remember, my father was a farmer, and we actually had what I call tobacco sticks. And I would take those sticks and I would make me a little log cabin house. And that was so much fun to me. I enjoyed it. My siblings enjoyed it. I mean, we made fun out of what we had, and we certainly didn't have handheld games and those sort of things. But it was a lot. It was fun. It was what we knew, and it was a lot of fun.
How many siblings did you have?
Six siblings coming up.
Was that a normal number for this time?
I think so. Yeah, there were other families that I knew had 6 and 7 children in the family. So yes, I would say yes.
And what was your first job? What age did you get it, and did you like it?
My first job, I had turned 16, and I was working as like a food prep person. Food prep, I would say, at the Golden Corral. And I worked there for maybe 2 months. It was okay. I wasn't crazy about it, but it was a start for me, so it was okay.
Okay. And you mentioned that your father had a farm. What was life like on the farm?
Oh, wow. It was hard work. We knew every summer what our summers were going to be like. And we got up early, before the break of dawn. And we would knock off sometimes, 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon to try to get all the work done before it got too hot. But our summers were spent working on the farm. We had large gardens, and we worked on someone else's farm. Plus, my father owned a small farm, so it's pretty much the summer was spent working on the farm.
Okay. And shifting a little bit from your childhood to growing up and going to school, what year did you graduate high school?
I graduated in 1986.
Okay. And how was the school system different from when you were in school versus how it is now?
Well, I do remember when I was in high school that we could, I remember we could smoke in school. You couldn't smoke inside the building, but you could smoke out in the courtyard. I think that's the biggest thing, the biggest difference I know from then to now in school was the smoking.
Okay. And what was your favorite and least favorite classes, and why?
I think my favorite class, let's see. I had a couple of favorites, but I really enjoyed the home ec. We took home ec in school. I took home ec in school, where they taught us how to cook and take care of, if you had a child, take care of children. A lot of taking care of the home. I really enjoyed that course. I don't even know if they offer that type of course now in school. My least favorite class probably was English.
Why?
I enjoy reading, but writing papers and explaining and summarizing, I'm not really, that's just not a strong area for me.
Okay. And since you were growing up in such a different time period, what were some major historical events that you remember?
For me, as a child, I remember my sixth grade school year. We actually watched, at school, we watched the inauguration of President Ronald Reagan. I remember that day so vividly clear. So historically, that really stands out to me is, the when Ronald Reagan got inaugurated as president.
Okay. And how has the community changed since you were a child?
Growing up, we knew our neighbors. We we knew our neighbors. We checked on our neighbors. My parents checked on the neighbors. May have not been every day, but they did, check on the neighbors to see how they were doing. And I can honestly say now, I don't even know all of my neighbors here. I mean, we have several houses right close by, in close proximity. And I maybe know two of the neighbors. The other three or four families, I couldn't tell you their names. I really am not familiar with them. I see them, but I don't know them. And that's a big difference from when I came up, from my upbringing in the community.
Okay. And since you've been alive for a number of years and you've seen different changes go on in the world, what would you consider to be the greatest strength that humans have? Like, what is something that you can consider to be a strength in a society?
I definitely say it's looking after each other. No matter how big or what job you hold or what you do for a living, I think being neighborly and friendly, because at the end of the day, we need each other. And I think that's important. It was important then, and it's still important now, even though people don't necessarily, people may not necessarily get to know each other as closely as they did back then. But I think it's still important because we need one another. People need other people. We're not meant to be an island here by ourselves. So I would say just kindness to one another, looking out for each other.
Okay. And once again, shifting a little bit from more political issues to racial issues a little bit. Have you experienced any racial issues in your lifetime?
I think I haven't experienced just outright racism.
Okay.
I'm sure there has been some, racist decisions on my part that I probably wasn't even aware of. But for me, more or less, I haven't. I so much haven't. Now I know some of my older sisters and brothers have, but for me, I have not.
Okay. And how have racial issues evolved in your lifetime?
Well, I think now people are more outspoken about race. Years ago, you knew that there was a difference in race, but I think now people are a little bit more outspoken about it. I do recall one incident when I was, here again, I was in 6th grade, and we were taking a field trip that day. And I do think the teacher had told us we could bring canned drinks to take on the trip with us. And I had forgotten mine along with many of the other students in the class. They had forgotten theirs as well. And I do remember one of my one of the other students in the classroom, her mother had agreed to, bring some canned drinks for those that had forgotten theirs. And I think there were probably 5 or 6 kids that she gave canned drinks to that had forgotten theirs for the field trip. And I had forgotten mine, but of course I had to get milk from the cafeteria. I didn't get to get a canned drink. And I felt like that was kind of, not only singling me out, but I felt like it could have been a race thing, as well.
Yeah.
But I think today people are a little bit more outspoken about race, and everything seems to be race. And everything is not race, but I feel like the society that we're in today, everything is race.
Yeah. So moving on to some lighter and easier topics. Since you grew up in a different time period, what was technology like in your young adulthood?
Coming up, we had what was called an Atari game. It was hooked to the television. You hooked it to the television, and I remember we played Atari. You could, it was just like it was like a tennis game, and you could play with another person, and you just bounce the ball back and forth across the screen on the TV. That was the most technology that I recall coming up. I think I was like 25 when I got my first, maybe even close to 30, 28 or 30 when I got my first cell phone. And that was a track phone where I had to buy the minutes for it, a little handheld track phone. So, coming up, all we had was like the Atari game that I can recall.
And have you enjoyed the rise in technology, or do you think that it is something that we can live without?
I can say I have enjoyed it, and I myself don't fully use technology to the fullest. I mean, I'm not a avid Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. I'm not really into all of that. I do like the technology. I like what the Apple phones offer, and the convenience and the ease of, it's almost like a little handheld computer, keeping up with your notes and such, and reminders on your phone, and the alarm clock. I do enjoy technology. I will say that, coming up, we didn't have the technology that we have now. You didn't have the ease of doing things, but you get used to you get used to what you have.
Okay. And speaking of games and things from your younger adulthood, what was your favorite show and book from your childhood?
I loved Nancy Drew mystery books.
Okay. Is there a particular reason why, or did you just really like them?
I don't know why. I just remember we would take trips to the library like once or twice a week, and I just read one, and it was like reading it. I could just imagine it in my head. It was like it just came to life. I could imagine the whole story. It just came to life. And I loved all of the Nancy Drew mysteries.
Okay. And speaking of books and things like that, what was your favorite style of music growing up?
I just easy listening. Of course, we didn't have rap coming up.
Okay.
Rap came along. Rap came along probably in my probably my late teens. We started getting into the rap thing, but coming up, it was just a little easy listening, disco coming up.
Okay. And how has the style of music changed over the years?
Oh wow. Now there's nothing that we don't hold back in music. It's of course you can even see it in the music videos. It's all sex or violence. It's just everything is put out there. There's not very much that we don't say in music. Whereas coming along, it was just love music, or it was like disco. It was, just get up and have a good time, fun music to dance to, party to. But now it's a little bit more, I would say, adult in nature.
Okay. And as we wrap up, if you could live your life over, what would you do differently?
Let's see. If I could live my life over, I think I would take better care of my health.
Okay.
I certainly think I took a lot of things for granted, just having youth on my side and not paying as close attention to maybe exercise. Even though I grew up exercise, we got plenty of exercise on the farm. But as I got older, of course, and we got away from that, just less exercise. Of course, with that came weight gain and poor food choices. And I think if I could live my life over, I would be more aware of the things I ate and exercising to take care of my body.
Okay. And last question. What advice would you give to future generations?
Let's see. I would say enjoy today. Enjoy what you have right here and right now. Enjoy your life. That doesn't mean being mean to other people to get what you want or to enjoy your life, but just live and be happy. I mean, there's a lot going on in the world. Things are changing rapidly day by day. We see it on the news. And, since COVID, a lot of families have lost people. I personally have lost people that I knew. And I think it's now we're at a time where we should just enjoy our lives, enjoy what God has given us. We should just need to be happy and be thankful, and just live and be happy.
Okay, well, that was our last question. Thank you for taking the time out to do this.
Thank you for asking. Thank you.
Yeah.